Happy Wisdom Wednesday, Coastal Crew. In one of the underrated, overrated videos that Kelsey and myself did, I made a statement, and Kelsey agreed with me, that you should not be stretching your hamstrings because you're most likely, you don't have tight hamstrings, but you're just in a poor pelvic positioning. I had a few questions after that being like, well, what does that mean? How do I fix it? And like, what are you even talking about? So I have some examples that I'm going to use to help demonstrate, but first things first, your hamstring attaches at your hip and below your knee. So it starts up here and then it attaches down there. So it crosses two joints, right? Your hip and your knee joint. So it's kind of a fixed length, okay? So if you are in a poor position, you can stretch that hamstring. So on the board, this is your ideal position, right? So we have that natural curve to our spine, and this triangle here is your hips. That's your pelvis. This red line right here is your hamstring. It comes just below your knee. That's where it inserts, and it originates right up in your hips. So if your hips are stacked underneath you ever so perfectly, the hamstrings are going to be at their natural length. Over here, we have Mr. Stick Figure, who is very extended. Their back is like this, and so their pelvis is facing forward. So if we have that pelvis facing forward, your knee isn't necessarily like extending backwards. It's not moving with you. So you're stretching that hamstring. You're putting excess stress onto it, which is why you feel so tight. So if we can fix that extended position and go from here to there, you're gonna go from a really tight and taut hamstring to the natural hamstring. So if this doesn't really help, I have my little buddy, and hopefully this can make a little bit more sense. I'll get a little closer. So on this leg, I attached a piece of tape. This is our hamstring, and you'll notice there's a little bit of give to it. It floats, but the moment that I kind of tilt him forward and his pelvis starts to move forward, ooh, it's too tight, right? It pulls off. And so if you are constantly in an extended position, that's what's happening. We go from this natural position where it's a little bit loose and freely, and then if you move too far forward, it's really taut, it's too tight, and that's where we're more at risk for injury and pain. It's just uncomfortable. If you've experienced like tight hamstrings, you'll know that it's not the funnest thing to deal with. So we need to get from this extended position into this neutral position. Ribs down, hips tucked. Kelsey did a great video on this, on posture, and that will help alleviate your hamstring tightness. So stop just aimlessly stretching your hamstrings and think about your pelvic and rib positioning. I hope this helps. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to any one of the coaches, and we will happily answer those questions for you. Have a great rest of your day, guys.